Hello, I'm Anne-Marie from the Yorkshire Centre for Wellbeing. I'm talking to you about the vagus nerve because for the first time ever we've had an inquiry from someone with a number of medical and health issues about how to tone the vagus nerve. And a little bit of background, the vagus nerve is one of the main cranial nerves and it wanders through the body. The name vagus comes from the Latin mean wandering, and it begins in the cranial area at the back of the head. It comes through the body, through the neck, through the chest, the respiratory system, through the digestive system, and all the way down to the pelvic floor. And it is associated, when it's balanced and in good tone, we call it vagal tone, with a calm parasympathetic nervous system. So we have our sympathetic nervous system, which we know as the fight, flight or freeze syndrome. When the sympathetic nervous system kicks in, we're in that mode. And when the parasympathetic nervous system is dominant, we call that the rest, digest and heal. So right now, of course, many of us are very anxious, stressed. It's a common aspect of life today. And when the vagus nerve is weak, we're much more likely to have a number of health issues, and it's associated with all the areas I've explained. So it may be associated with your speech, it's maybe associated with breathing, the heart, if it's out of balance. We have weak breathing, a poor breathing capacity, the heart may race, or it's very well known now, a lot of research has been done for the gut-brain axis, as it's called, because it has a major component in running through the gut and sending signals back to the brain. So any type of digestive issues, abdominal issues, again, will be very much out of balance if the vagal nerve tone is weak. And then it goes all the way through down to our pelvic floor, so associated with reproduction. So when the vagal nerve is weak, we may experience a number of health issues such as epilepsy, post-traumatic stress, high anxiety, lack of sleep. The client who has contacted us is finding difficult with speech and just general fatigue. So there are many issues which the vagus nerve can affect. So the important thing is, of course, is how can we balance the vagus nerve so we have good vagal tone. And this is something we're looking at in depth in the centre now. Just today I did a 7 Spiritual Laws of Yoga class, and we were working with the throat chakra, as it's known, Vishuddhi chakra. And there are many things that we can do. So yoga is one of the ways we balance the vagus nerve, especially if it's a more calming style of yoga. If it's a very high, intense, very competitive style, that's probably going to put you more into stress. So our yoga asanas, and in fact I was teaching today Salute to Sun, Surya Namaskara, and that is actually one of the practices that balances the vagus nerve, because we work with the right and then the left side of the body, so it brings the right and left side of the brain into harmony and calms the brain. In addition, in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Yoga, we can use mantra for each pose. So mantra, chanting, singing will also help calm the vagus nerve. So if you sing, or if you chant, or even humming, and of course different yoga pranayama is also extremely helpful. So for instance, in the 7 Spiritual Laws of Yoga, we began today with our hands at our heart, we were in standing, and the first mantra, there is a mantra associated with each asana, is Om Mitraya Namaha. So you can see it's a chant, but it's almost like a singing chant. So if we say that out loud, the mantra has meaning, and it's a devotional way of practicing salute to sun. So again, that has greater power and greater benefit to the body. And we were practicing also today some laughter yoga. So laughing is really helpful and beneficial, and it may seem a bit strange, but you can start laughing. Maybe you have to force the laughter at the beginning, but it soon becomes extremely infectious. And whenever we've done this, everybody's laughing. And I was teaching live and on Zoom and on catch up. And laughter, of course, humour, is going to calm the body and make us feel happier and more calm and more peaceful. Particular pranayams, we may make just a humming sound. So I did say to some of my new students today, if it felt too much to say the mantra as we were practicing, just hum or just say Om, Om. The sound of Om is very healing. In fact, I suggested they said Om Namaha, the middle bit changes. So that's one very effective way. Another very effective way is to use sounding pranayam. So like, for instance, Ujjayi pranayam. Sounding pranayam, we sometimes call that like the Darth Vader breath. So that will give you an idea of the sound you may make. But probably one of the best breaths in yoga is to use the humming bee breath. When we literally make the sound of the humming bee, we usually close the ears and close the eyes, and it sounds like this. So again, that's very healing to the body, and we can listen to that sound, especially if we close our ears and close our eyes, and that sound vibrates. It calms us. It also works on the vocal cords, so these become stronger. And I did find from practicing my yoga and working with the mantras that my voice became a little more powerful, a little bit more, a little stronger. So even if we don't feel we have a stronger voice, we can develop those skills with practice, of course. So the other ways we balance the vagus nerve is through self-massage techniques, and we're looking at those in our other classes. Currently I'm running 2 classes which will also help with that. We're practicing face yoga and meditation, and for that we do some of the face yoga exercises which again help tone all the muscles around the face, throat, the back of the neck. And we can also use pressure points. So for our pressure points, we can use our fingers, but I usually recommend we use crystals, because crystals have their own energy. And you may be able to see I've got 2 blue crystals. Here in my right hand, I have a labradorite crystal. If I move it around, you may just see it's glinting in the light. And this is a beautiful crystal. It's a very spiritual crystal. The Inuits, the American Indians, the Eskimos, we would refer to this as like the Northern Lights, because it has all those colours. In this hand I have sodalite. So we can literally massage places, like for instance here, the back of the ear. This is a stimulation point for the vagus nerve. In the ear, we might use a crystal with a pointy end. And again, I will teach you this. So just by massaging in the ear and different points in the ear, we're stimulating the vagus nerve, increasing vagal tone. We can also work on our neck, and we can use crystals, we can use our hands, and we can go around the neck. So bearing in mind the vagus nerve comes from the back of the ear, through the throat, back of the right ear, through the throat, the chest. We can massage these places. I would also recommend you use blue, and you can see I'm wearing blue, and I'm wearing a turquoise here at my throat to help the throat, and at my ears. So from a yogic perspective, using the colours, the aromatherapy oils associated with the throat, perhaps something like lemon or eucalyptus to help us with our breathing. These are all aspects that I bring into our classes. And of course, these are all completely natural. We're not using any drugs. We're using asana, pranayama, toning, singing, chanting, crystals, self-massage, and laughter, which are all wonderful things to do. Now, I have actually devised the face yoga and meditation class because when people are very anxious, if you suggest to people or ask them to sit and meditate and the mind is very, very active, it can actually be very difficult to meditate, and in some cases it can cause more stress and anxiety because it's so difficult to calm the mind. But in doing some face yoga or pressure points, so we have all the pressure points, we can use the crystals on our, working here on the crown, the third eye, or around the nose, the chin. We're helping calm the brain, and the crystals have energy. So when you've done some face yoga exercises, some eye exercises, some pranayama, and I also teach you how to direct the pranayama up into your brain, into your eyes. So this is all very calming, and it enables us to then more easily transition to meditation. So meditation, of course, is very calming for the brain, and we do recommend you practice daily, ideally a couple of times a day. And how else can we awaken and tone the vagus nerve? The cold, so cold showers, in fact hot cold is very good, and I normally do that. I find it helps me with my neck and my shoulders, it helps with muscular release, and when I go into the cold shower, I start to hum. So I'm doing two things to help tone the vagus nerve, but also to bring calmness to the body. So we're not thinking too much of the cold, we're going into the zone, and we're using the humming, which calms the mind. There are a couple of other suggestions, omega-3, and obviously a good diet. So it's a very broad spectrum, and stimulating the vagus nerve. You can also use tapping, lots of methods. I have become particularly interested in it because the research is very much ongoing, and a very big connection between the brain-gut. So the gut speaks to the brain. We've probably all heard of that. That's feeling in your gut, trusting your gut instinct. And we now know, there is proof that this is true. So looking at our diet, looking at asana to balance the gut. Again, we can stimulate the gut through our physical asana, our physical postures. So it's a wonderful area and very exciting. This is all natural. And just by balancing the vagus nerve, increasing our vagal tone, we can come into a parasympathetic state. And if ultimately that becomes our default. And we have all these tools to help us come into this state. It's just that we need to practice and probably have some guidance and help initially. And that's what we do here at the centre. So if you are interested and would like to know more, please do get in contact. If you're watching this video on YouTube and you like it, please feel free to make a comment, like, and follow our channel. And you can join us either live in the studio, but if you're not local, as I've mentioned this morning, I've been teaching on Zoom. It's also recorded, so it's available on Catch Up. So the video I've done this morning has many of the things I'm talking to you about. We're also doing a sana to awaken the throat, such as fish pose in yoga and exposing the throat. So yeah, lots to think about. I hope you found that interesting, and please do get in contact. Let us know if we can help. We'd be delighted to do so. Thank you for listening. Namaste.